Without further ado, it is an honor and a pleasure on this Friday, already surprisingly the end of July, which is absolutely not even doesn't seem possible, to be speaking with one of the greatest founding principal architects in the United States, William Court, a founding principal of Court Atkins Group. Pleasure to be speaking with you, William.
Great to be speaking with you, Jed. Thanks for the time today.
No, pleasure's all mine, my friend. And I love your story, which Kelly shared with me this morning. Uh, the Before he became the Low Countries, I always love that term, Low Country. The Low Country's most sought after and awarded architectural firms. It started with, as so many great entrepreneurs set out to do, whether it's in architecture or whatever it might be, but it started with a dream with you and your founding principal and partner, James Atkins.
Yeah, James and I crossed paths at Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, many, many, many years ago now, and ended up both, ironically, in South Carolina, working for the same firm. And then we had we kind of parted ways, but we had an opportunity to reconnect, and we were both in different places in life at the time, and this is a good 20 years ago now. Just it sort of that reconnect felt like it was meant to be, and we started pulling ideas together to create a small kind of a boutique architecture firm in the coastal low country here, just outside of Hilton Head and Savannah, both. A little place that nobody at the time had heard of, called Bluffton, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it was the right thing to do. So we jumped in. My wife at the time was pregnant, and we were in the process of building a home for ourselves. And I came home and let her know that I was going to quit my job and that we were going to start a company. And she about killed me, but we managed to survive through all of that. And James and I sort of built this ground up operation, and now we sit 20 years later, and there's 40 of us, and we're just blessed. Like every single day, we do cool stuff, and I can't, I have no clue how we pulled it off, but I'm really glad we did.
That's such a great story, and congratulations! It's such a great story, and isn't it amazing though when you, as any great entrepreneur will say, and I think what you do in your industry is absolutely incredible. I mean, you're savants, you're geniuses. You're creating, there's art and there are artists and whatnot, which obviously I highly respect. But then what you do is, what you and James do is it's just a whole different version of art. And you have to, in my opinion, have a very wickedly intelligent mind and both, intelligent and artistic mind combined to do what you do. So how amazing though when you started out with a quote unquote small boutique firm, and now you have a team 40 deep, as you just said, and to be doing what you do. I love your projects. I love the features that we do for you, and being able to see the imagery and whatnot and the concepts that you have. And so, speaking about the concepts and the way that you approach, which is obviously very important in your industry, what's your approach? And it's often, I would think, outside of, okay, let's look at what Court Atkins Group has done visually, it's what is it that you and James have really utilized as your core approach when you are being presented with the opportunity to speak to a new potential client?
It's a great question. Nothing is there's no super secret sauce here. It is listening is kind of one of the big keys, um, and being kind of passionate about what we do, and letting that show through, not just in the work, but in the conversations that we have with our clients and potential clients. I mean, especially on the residential side when we're talking about new sort of custom homes for people, there's that couple or that individual may have they've got a sense of where they're headed. They've probably seen something that we like, that we've done that they like, I should say, and
Right.
they've probably heard about us, or maybe they're visiting one of the communities that we tend to work in, or seen us on Instagram or whatever, or in the magazines. Um, it, we have to connect with them on a basic level that let them know that that this is you mentioned that this sort of creative or artistic notion of what architecture is about, and it is a highly creative and sort of it's a I don't know what the best way to put it is. We're not just art for art's sake. It's still a professional service to some degree. So, Judd, you've got to kind of play both sides of that. You've got to give them some comfort that they're going to be heard, that we are a group of individuals that can accomplish all the things that need to take place in order to design something that's not really just kick ass, but can also be built. And at the same time, you've got to express that sort of emotional side and connect with them, and let them know that you get the vision, you can expand upon the vision, and you can pull something together that they couldn't come up with on their own. And I think that a lot of that is listening, but a lot of it is also just sort of an active engagement, and really kind of showing them that you're willing to go on a journey with them, and that we're not exactly sure where it's going to end up. We're going to have a hell of a lot of fun while we're doing it, and we're going to keep some guardrails in place so that you have to sort of let everybody know that there is a budget, there is a schedule, there's a timeline, there's things that we're going to sort of follow along and be sort of professional about, but there's also going to be this sort of moment of messy vitality where we can create and we can have fun and we can bounce ideas off of one another, and we can pull imagery and develop sketches and just really go after it, and the end result, if we're doing our job right, we've got a home or a project that is perfectly sited on the land, that looks the way they wanted it to, that has the aesthetic character and imagery that they wanted it to have, that has the feel when you're in the space, the size, scale, scope, texture, character. It fits them like a glove. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, and we can't do that without sort of a real actively engaged client. We've got to work with them. We've got to understand where they're coming from, and we've got to learn their story, and then we really go at it from there.
You're very well spoken, my friend, and thank you for sharing all that. And each one is such a, it's each is a custom, unique project, and that must be so exciting too. It's I work with a lot of yacht builders, and
Cool.
and people can just look at a yacht as an example, and think, well, all yachts are the same. Well, no, they're not. It's like you can look at a home from the outside, and sure, many of them do look the same, but on the inside, because one thing I've learned about working with genius architects such as yourself is it's also what's done on the inside. And you can walk in and all of a sudden you think, oh, it's like Alice in Wonderland in here, because that came down to your engagement, as you put it, William, with the clients and bringing their vision to life, which they don't know how to do. They can conceive of it just like as they might conceive of writing a book that they have in mind, but then actually bringing it to life, and that's what you do. And to have that talent and be able to do that, it must be exciting and thrilling every single day.
Uh, yeah, we're blessed. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, to be in part of this team here, and I get that we started it, right? Like, I'm not naive to the fact that James and I sort of set the thing in motion, but we're greater now than the sum of the parts. I mean, I think that's synergy by definition. Like, it's there are just so many cool folks here that are so much more talented than we could ever be without them collectively. So it is really cool to kind of come here and consider being in this studio, um, even remotely work. It doesn't feel like work. So it's pretty great. Yeah, and the people we get to meet, all of these potential clients and folks that we build lifelong relationships with, they all have cool stories too.
Right.
Most of our clients are super successful in some aspect of life, and so the best ones are the ones with good stories that we can kind of that they're engaged. If someone we can design in a vacuum, Judd, but when we've got a client that's engaged and has an opinion about things, like we can just that energy sort of creates opportunity, and I think it really drives projects that are much more enjoyable to work on and probably much more successful for us as a team rather than the ones where we're kind of left to our own devices and the clients are not very engaged. So
Right.
the clients are
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah, no, because then also you're literally when someone is engaged, you're literally bringing one of their greatest, whether it's the first home they're having done or the second, third, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
is you're literally bringing, and let's say it is their third or fourth, whatever home it might be, is people change and their visions change and their desires change, etc. So the one that you're designing for them could be completely different than the first one they had done, and or even if it is their first, but you're bringing to life this dream uh, that they have conceptualized, and if they're engaged with it, I think I admire your profession. I admire you, and I think it must be one of the most thrilling and exciting professions to jump out of bed in the morning and just be so excited to whether it's you have one, three, five, 10 projects that you're working on, but the ones where the client is engaged and they have
Yeah.
a vision, and to bring that to life, and you physically bring it to life. It's not on canvas. It's not you're bringing someone's dream to life, and it's to me it's just spectacular and amazing. What are a few projects that you are especially proud of? I'm sure you're proud of all of them, but what are a few that just really I'm not slight. You don't want to slight anyone. It's like I can never say to a luxury realtor, "What's your favorite home you ever sold?" I've learned that because I'll say I can't say
Yeah.
that.
No, I don't know that I've got a favorite child, so to speak, but I will
Right.
tell you that some of the communities that we work in, like they will also push the envelope. I mean, we're doing a lot of work in cool places like Savannah and Charleston, but right in our own back door, there's a community called Palmetto Bluff, and
Yeah, I know.
it's
I know Palmetto Bluff. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It is just like it's wonderland to be an architect in. I mean, they're just the beauty, the natural beauty of what's going on there, plus their attention to detail and what they'll allow sort of architects to accomplish there. That's a really special place to work. But I mean, there are a ton of great communities. We have been fortunate to follow our clients. We've done a couple of projects in Montana, which man, that's I mean, I don't know that I want to be there when there's 300 inches of snow on the ground all the time, but in August, that's a pretty special place.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Especially when
The
you're,
ski areas in the summer, it's some of the best time to
yeah,
be there. Oh yeah.
it's very cool. We've done some fun stuff in Texas recently. Florida's obviously a great place to work.
Yeah.
It's like I said, you can, I don't, it's really rough to describe how, um, blessed this opportunity is to be able to develop stuff like this for people and then to work in all of these really amazing locales. Yeah, it's awesome.
Again, very well spoken, and it's if I was choosing an architect, I would want to 100% work with someone with your perspective and the way that you go about it, and the enthusiasm and the optimistic approach you have, and so I think that's one of the most valuable things that we're able to convey in having a conversation such as this is to, and also for someone, a potential client, to hear it and to hear that in your voice. And you know what? Also, I was just thinking about as you talked about, Montana, and you talked about Savannah, of course. And being an architect in Savannah must be just a dream come true. And then you've got, but I do have a point here, and you can then elaborate on it. Is then you have, Miami or Miami Beach, which I've lived in Miami Beach a number of times. Is you can each one, which is reflective of the people, and it's also, of course, reflective of the area. If you're in a ski town, whether it's Montana, Aspen, Vale, whatever, or you're
Yep.
in Savannah, Savannah's got its very own beautiful style. And then you've got Miami, Miami Beach. That's a whole different beast, a whole different world. So it must be so exciting when you have a project that's in these different areas because you have to approach it with, you have to, I would think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I would think you'd have to really, to a certain extent, like an actor, preparing for a role, you'd have to get into the mindset of that community, and look at the aesthetics they have while at the same time taking into account the client's vision and bringing that to life. And it must inspire you and push you to do things at times that you perhaps haven't done before.
I think it's a great point. I mean, it's really fun to be in a new locale, right? It's like going on vacation. There's an energy, there's a newness. So
Absolutely. That's why I live in
right,
so many different places. It's all different cultures. It is.
yeah,
It is.
it is. It should not be discounted. I mean, there are things that we know naturally about the Low Country here in South Carolina that make us especially good at developing designs in these communities. But at the same time, I'm guilty of the fact that we've done it a bunch of times, right? So when we get an opportunity to go fly to Montana and see a project site with the kind of views that they have out there in this big open wild countryside.
Yeah.
That's refreshing. I mean, it breathes life into you. So I think that they're great opportunities, and every project that's every project that we take on, we have to keep track of certain things, and one of them is what that site has to offer, whether that is history or tradition or completely devoid of tradition and it's wild and untamed and just beautiful naturally. That is certainly part of the message of the architecture that is about to come out, and you have to embrace that. You have to kind of pay attention to it and unlock whatever that is, whatever that potential is in the design. Or I don't think you're doing a service to the site. I mean, it's a missed opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. Very well said. That's absolutely true. I mean, it's to a certain extent, it's looking at it again, speaking to the artistic part of it, is you're looking at an open canvas. And then it's also, well, where is this canvas? Is it in Montana? Is it in Miami? Is it in Savannah? But they're each different canvases. It's not a blank white canvas. It's a canvas that already has elements to it. And so, how do we create and bring to life this client's vision within the beautiful canvas that already is that exists,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you.
yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Thank you. But I'm just taking your lead and running with it. But and I'm listening obviously to everything you're saying, and so I'm trying to envision the way that you go about it. And you're using Montana as an example was a great one, and it's great for people to be able to hear that. William Court, founding principal of Court Atkins Group, is to be able to realize that and hear that, and for someone to hear that. All right, he he's worked in a number of places, but looks at it from that perspective, and I think that's so important because you can't just someone could see obviously a beautiful home that you've done in Savannah, perhaps, and then you just walk into Montana and you say, "Well, I'm just gonna do the same home here."
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that ain't gonna fly up here in Montana, brother.
exactly, exactly. And I mean, it all gets it somehow it all gets pulled together. But in addition to the site, you want the site to speak. Certainly, you want the client to speak because again, I think our actively engaged clients certainly paint part of that canvas that you were describing. There is an aesthetic component that they bring to the table. Something that it never fails. They bring photos. They bring Pinterest boards. They bring clippings. They bring magazines and that have been dog-eared with pages that they love and have been looking at for 2 years, and they don't know why they like it. There's some energy that's brought by the client for sure.
Yeah.
And there's also this sort of non-architectural component, Judd, that it's sort of what we call program, but it is really this sort of description of what daily life is like for our clients. How do they envision when they come to someplace like Palmetto Bluff or to Montana, and this is not their everyday home. This is a getaway, or this is a transitioning home that they may move into. Um, they have to help us with what's life like when we head to Montana. How is it different? Who's with us? Who do we tend to invite with us? What do we like to do? Are we avid cooks? Are we outdoorsmen? Like, what are the components of this house that are going to be really, really important when we start putting the puzzle pieces together? And that program of lifestyle is also super critical, and it really doesn't have anything to do with what the house looks like. It's more how it lives. You kind of mentioned early on, like, you can look at two homes from the outside; they look similar, but when you get inside, they have some sort of essence or soul to them. That's that programmatic component. That's the client giving us the energy of day-to-day life and saying, all right, figure this out for us. How do we live in this house, and how do we make it work?
That is such a great point, because you could have, that is such a great point. Again, very well said, is because you could, that's exactly right, is how does someone, and to approach it that way as an architect is, it comes down to the people. Well, how do you live? What do you like? Okay, so this getaway in Montana, are you hunters? Are you fishermen? Do you not care about that? You just need some, I'm going to use your SoCal term you used earlier, William. Do you just need a few kick-ass bars within the place? I mean, how do you live? What is your passion? And then bringing that to life. And yeah, I've never thought about architecture that way. As you're literally from the aesthetics of the outside of the home and the inside, but it's also you're curating this beautiful work of art for customized to the way that people live their life.
Yeah, absolutely right. Curating is a perfect word too. I mean, it really is. You can't throw everything in, like, it just doesn't work. So we have to peel some things away to get at what's important for the client, and then you've got to sort of build a framework for everything architecturally that will support that. And again, they've got to feel at peace. They've got to feel surrounded by whatever it is that is giving them emotion. If that's warmth, if it's materiality, if it's the really cool bar, whatever it is. Like, I mean, I don't, everybody is different in that regard. There are things that resonate with them emotionally, and it's our job to just sort of unlock that and figure out a way to put it into built form. And that's the cool part. I mean,
Yeah, that is so great. I majored in the wrong thing in college and went down the wrong career path. But and it must really, with your team at Court Atkins Group, 40 plus deep, that works throughout the country and brings these visions and life experience, curated life experiences to life. You can go ahead and use that. Is it must also invigorate and keep your team very thrilled and passionate all the time as well.
I think so. Opportunity certainly does that, and we are sort of cross disciplinary. I mean, we've got three big studio components in each space that we work in. We're in Bluffton and in Savannah, so
Yeah.
that is fun in its own right. But each of those spaces we do commercial work, we do custom residential work, but we also do interior design. And I'm here to tell you, interior design is not my background. I appreciate it, I love it, and I understand how incredibly important it is
Right.
to what we do day to day. But our interior designers are phenomenal, and they are wired totally differently. Like, you just can't believe how much fun it is to bounce ideas back and forth between those two camps.
Absolutely.
And it's just
They're a different type of artist in your world. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's and I've seen that when I've gone, going back to that example we discussed. I'll let you go in 2 minutes because again, I know you're busy and I
No worries.
is I again, there was this one home I walked into, and he was an architect friend of mine up in the Northeast. But I walked into, he built this home next door. I walked into it. It was very sterile, etc. But on the outside, it was magnificent. But then on the inside, it was sterile. And he said, "Well, that's what the client wanted." Then I walked into his home, which he had designed for him and his partner, and that's where I get that Alice in Wonderland line
Yeah.
that I used. And it was just this. I walked in and I just stood there almost breathless for a minute. But it's because it has there was a significant influence of the interior design, and in that moment, I realized how important that is in architecture design and or in architecture. And isn't one of your principals? Isn't she? Uh, she's focused on interior design, right?
Yes. Yeah. Deb Van Blue is our lead interior designer and kind of the director of that shop. And there's I mean, look, we have some of the most hysterical conversations trying to come up with common ground on some of the fun stuff that we're working on together. But there is really a symbiotic relationship between the two that, despite what either one of us might say about which one's more important, they don't exist well without one another.
Right.
And I think it took a while in life to sort of figure that out for any architect or any interior designer. But once you get the connection between the two and you find really good partners to play with, it is you can do some real kick-ass stuff. So
It's building your dream team, and
yeah,
and to have the perfect, I would think, all the ingredients in place on your end to then be able to go into a client, whether they're in Montana, Savannah, anywhere in the Low Country, Miami, whatever it might be, is is you have all the right cooks in the kitchen, so to speak.
let's hope so. It's been a heck of a ride, so I feel
Let's
like
hope
we
so.
do.
Oh, my friend. All right. Well, I'm going to let you get going. I hope we get to do this again. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I mean this has been cool. I appreciate the time today, Judd. It's fun to talk about this stuff, and next time we can talk food or wine or whatever you want. But
Oh, all right.
this,
You just gave me the opportunity to ask this. So, I was informed that Mr. James Atkins is a bourbon drinker, and you, Mr. William Court, are somewhat of a wine aficionado.
so the two of us, I would say, you talk about symbiotic relationships. I would say that the two of us are very very good at drinking both. We're just better collectors at one or the other, and collecting, like anything, can become a problem child, but it's also a heck of a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. I bet down in the Low Country, you guys do have some fun, yeah?
Yes, indeed, indeed.
That's what I've heard. All right. What a pleasure to speak with one of the founding principals of Court Atkins Group, Court, Court, Atkins, Atkins.com. One of the most exceptional, as you have heard, architecture and design firms on the planet, and especially in the United States, that can bring any vision that you have to life, curated to exactly the way you want to live your life within that unique, very unique and beautiful project that they bring to fruition. CourtAtkins.com. William Court, thank you for your time on a Friday afternoon. I hope you have the greatest weekend, the final weekend of July. Seems
Yeah,
like it was just 4th of July. I can't believe it's now August. The summer's going to blow by, and I hope you enjoy every minute of it with having some fun down there and being ever more successful.
I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Bye.
All right, bye.